12, 11, 10, retro, 9, engines on, 5, 4, 3, 2, econ, launch commit, go.
Shortly after I was born, Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon. Putting a man on the moon was the greatest technological achievement in the 20th century, and it was televised live for all to see and experience together.
It's different, but it's very pretty under. Beautiful view. Is that something? Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston?
I grew up in a small community living in the shadow of NASA. It was equal parts cowboy and astronaut. Our neighbors were the engineers, technicians, and the men who flew to space. I grew up with visions of the future where robots cleaned our homes and the future was bright. Computers and the internet, once limited to NASA and universities, began to move into our homes. In 1981, I got my first computer, the Commodore VIC-20.
Great games, too.
In 1997, Kasparov, the greatest chess player alive, was stunningly defeated by a computer.
Probably in the future, computer will replace us. I mean, will control our life.
Shortly after that, a cute toy named Furby became the must-have toy of the season. It contained a very small bit of artificial intelligence and more computing power than was used to put man on the moon. In 2008, I saw a video of Big Dog, a four-legged robot that went viral. It was developed to assist troops in combat. It seems like robots were being used for more than cute toys.
What can we do to protect ourselves from robot automation?
The CEO explained that machines will replace traditional labor.
Companies planning to replace human jobs.
Every day there are stories about robots replacing us. Current estimates say that over a third of all jobs will be lost to automation by the year 2030.
I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
Visionaries like Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk warn that, while AI has great potential for benefits, it could also be the greatest existential risk to humanity.
Artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
Of course, we had a hand in this creation. But I wonder, have we reached some kind of turning point in the evolution of intelligent machines? Are we on the verge of witnessing the birth of a new species?
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea-beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate.
All those moments would be lost in time, like tears in the rain.
I'm Will Jackson. I'm the director at Engineered Arts Limited. We're a humanoid robot company and we make acting robots. I'm creating things that engage people to the level where they suspend their disbelief.
Oh yes, Master Luke. Remember that I'm fluent in over 6 million forms of communication. They're using...
People say things like, oh, they're going to help out in hospitals, it's going to look after my aged parent, it's going to do the dishes in my house. None of these things are achievable. Utility and entertainment, it's the difference between those two things, which is why we make acting robots. So what's the simplest, most well-paid job that a human can do? Brad Pitt, you know. How easy is that? Doesn't even get his hands wet. You know? So that's why we do acting robots. Really well paid, really easy. Pick the low-hanging fruit.
You talking to me? Talking to me? You talking to me? Then who the hell else are you talking to? Were you talking to me?
It's the recreation of life. It's partly man plays God, making the machine, and I think it's right back to that fundamental question of what does it mean to be human? How do we define ourselves? How is that not me?
Here's where the fun begins.
When I was 9, on the last day at school, a new movie opened that everyone was excited about. It was called Star Wars, and it introduced us to two very cool robots, R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile. And don't let me catch you following me, begging for help, because you won't get it.
A couple of years later, another sci-fi movie was released called Blade Runner. The robots in this film were not awkward and funny machines like in Star Wars. Here, they were almost indistinguishable from humans.
You're reading a magazine, you come across a full-page nude photo of a girl.
Is this testing whether I'm a replicant or a lesbian, Mr. Deckard?
After that, Terminator was released. In a few short years, I watched robots go from being our friends to wanting to destroy us.
I wrote a book called Robopocalypse, so people think that I think robots are gonna kill us all, but I don't. You know, I love robotics. I think robots and AI are going to make humanity into whatever it is we're capable of becoming. I think they're gonna push us forward and help us evolve. I don't think they're gonna destroy us. But there have been 100 years of pop culture references about robots as evil killers. It used to be that robots were movie monsters, you know? Like back in the day, you had vampires and mummies, and Frankenstein, and the creature from the Black Lagoon, Wolfman, and robots. They were no different than monsters. When you've got something that's been pop culture for that long, it gathers momentum. You know, people get an idea of what something is, and it's hard to shake that because you've got all these years of different iterations of robots killing us, robots enslaving people, robots stealing women to take to other planets. How do you get out of that rut? And the only way is being exposed to real robotics.
The challenge of exposing myself to real robotics was just the excuse that I needed to fulfill a childhood dream.
I've assembled my dream team to help me build an AI that can make a film about AI. Can our robot learn to be creative? And if so, can it eventually replace me as well? We're gonna build a robot and let it interview me.
You get X, Y, and Z working first.
My name is Madeline Gannon. We're here in Pittsburgh at the Studio for Creative Inquiry, and I'm a robot whisperer. We encounter a lot of robots in our daily life, so my work is inventing better ways to communicate with these machines.
I can see the future.
The best possible end goal is that if someone who has never seen a robot and someone who's not an experienced camera person can either be interviewed or work with this robot, it would be really exciting.
One of the things I'm very excited about is sort of being interviewed by the robot alone and wondering how that will be different as opposed to like right now when there's people around. If we can create a device that actually allows us to be more intimate and tell a story in a more intimate way, I think that that's a true revelation.
Okay, cool. I'm here working with the camera bot team on replacing our DP who's sitting behind this shot. I'm curious to see if through this project we can create something as empathy requiring as possible, making it feel like the robot is interacting with you in a way that's has space for failure.
think that should be good. I'm an interaction designer and media artist, and I work on some never before attempted things. Because it's never been done before, we kind of have to experiment and find where the edges and limitations are, and it may not be exactly what we want, but we may run into some situations where we end up with like a happy accident.
The real challenge here is, can it have a personality of its own, right? So can it have true autonomy? Can it be creative?
Knowing I will soon face the robot, I decided to talk to someone who has faced a machine before.
The machine has a name, Deep Thought. It's the computer world champion of chess. Across the board is Garry Kasparov, the human champion. Maybe the best chess player who's ever lived.
It was the first match I lost in my life, period. And that was definitely a quite shocking experience because I was unbeatable in all events. I was angry, but you know, and you win some, you lose some. People had idea for a long time that chess could serve as the sort of perfect field to test computers' ability. And his great minds, the pioneers of computer science, like Alan Turing, they believed that when one day machine would beat human champion, that will be the moment of AI making its appearance.
AI has not only made its appearance, it's already ensnared us in ways we cannot see. If AI can be superior to us, what does that mean to our own identity?
So I'm Nick Bostrom. I'm a professor here at Oxford University, and I run the Future of Humanity Institute, which is a multidisciplinary research center with mathematicians, computer scientists, philosophers, trying to study the big picture for humanity, with a particular focus on how certain future technologies may fundamentally change the human condition.
Why do you have to do that? I mean, why don't we have to?
Somebody has to do it, right? If this hypothesis is correct, it's kind of weird that we should happen to live at this particular time in all of human history, where we are kind of near this big pivot point. I devoted a lot of attention to AI because it seems like a plausible candidate for a technology that will fundamentally change the human condition. It's, if you think about it, the development of full general machine intelligence, it's the last invention that humans will ever need to make. By definition, if you have an intellect that can do all that we can do, it can also do inventing and then do it much better and faster than we can do. To us humans, like, the differences between humans loom very large. Like, our whole world is humans. We think, oh, that's the dumb human and that's the smart human, and we think one is up here and one is down there, right? Einstein, the village idiot, huge difference. But from the point of view of an AI designer, these are very close points. Like, all levels of intelligence achieved by some human brain-like thing that lives for a few decades and reads some books, and it's like, it's not clear that it would be much harder to reach a human genius level AI than to reach a human village idiot AI. So once you get all the way up to human village idiot, you might just swoosh right by. Nobody was really doing any serious analysis on this. It's almost like even conceiving of the ideas that machines could be as smart as humans was so radical that the imagination muscle kind of exhausted itself thinking about this radical conception that it couldn't take the obvious further step, that after you have human level AI, you will have super intelligence.
Where we're at right now would not be possible. This future that we're living in is not possible without all of the factories, all of the infrastructure that's been built up around AI and robotic systems. All the infrastructure of our cities, you know, all the power, all the information systems that keep things happening. All the airplanes are rooted by these AIs. Where they put stuff in the supermarkets. I mean, all of this stuff is AI. What's fascinating is this amazing ability that human beings have to make the most incredible technological advances completely mundane. Every now and then people will say, where's my jetpack? Where's my underwater city? You know, where's all this stuff at? And if you go look for it, It's all here. Like, we have all that. It's just completely mundane. We can talk to our phones. Nobody cares. Like, I mean, that's something I feel like we should be reeling from for like 10 years, you know? Instead, you know, it was maybe 3 months if anybody noticed it at all.
So only 36 and 39. Those are the only 2 trains we'll see today. We can skip other 2.
As intelligent machines seep into the fabric of our daily existence in an almost imperceivable way, I've decided to go on a journey to find people who have intimate relationships with computers. I want to find out how robots and AI are transforming how we relate to each other.
Aha! Let's see you.
Gus is on the spectrum. He's autistic. He is not the kid who is going to be running NASA, and he's not the kid who is completely nonverbal. So he is in that vast spectrum, and a question mark. He's a very big question mark, what his life will be like and what he will be like when he's an adult.
Whoa, go on, go on. What time is it in Berlin?
In Berlin, Germany, it's 9:12 p.m.
What time is it in Paris, France? What time is it in London?
If you are like Gus and you have kind of arcane interests in things that, say, your mother doesn't care about, and your mother is having to answer questions about these things all the time, suddenly Siri becomes a godsend.
How do you spell camouflage?
Camouflage. C-A-M.
I remember at the time he discovered Siri, it was something about red-eared slider turtles, and he's moved on to other things, but if you're not interested in red-eared slider turtles, you got a lot of hours of chat about those turtles ahead of you. So what could be better in terms of technology than something like Siri, who is the most patient? I mean, I begin to talk about Siri like she's a person because I can't help it. I feel this gratitude towards this machine.
Will you marry me?
My end-user licensing agreement does not cover marriage. My apologies.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's not that he doesn't know intellectually that Siri is a machine, but that the lines of reality and fantasy are still a little blurred for him, and he enjoys fantasy. I don't feel guilty about Siri now. And the important thing is that he feels fulfilled, not that it matches my vision of what a friend has to be.
There's a sphere of what we consider kind of appropriate or normal human conversation. And one of the things we find is it's actually shrinking. It's considered slightly rude to ask someone to tell you a fact. You know, like, what was the year of the Battle of Waterloo again? And someone will be like, just look it up. You know, why are you wasting my time? What will we be left with ultimately as legitimate reasons to interact with one another?
If you look around, it seems that our obsession with technology is making us talk less to each other. But does that mean we're further apart? Maybe it could bring us closer in ways we never could have imagined before.
Hi, my name is Roman. I want to apply design and innovation to human death. I want to disrupt this outdated industry. I want to lead the industry to transform funeral service into a true service driven by remembrance, education about grief and death, preservation of memory and healing.
Roman was my best friend. We moved here and then we rented an apartment together. And that's him in that picture. And he's right by me on the picture when we were like in the Russian market. And then right there, we're running together from the waves. And that's my favorite picture. I don't know, it's like 1 month before he died. I remember that Sunday very well I woke up in the morning and Roman was like, hey, let's go to brunch with our closest friends. And I really wanted to do that. But then I kind of felt responsible that, I had to go to another meeting as well. And so they were walking through Moscow. It was this beautiful sunny day. And Roman was crossing the street on a zebra. And just a car came out of nowhere, just going super fast, like 70 miles per hour, and hit him. People just stopped talking about him. Like our friends, we're all young, so we didn't really have, no one had a way to kind of talk about it. No one wanted to seem like a sad person that never moved on or just keeps living in the past. I wanted like the feeling of him back. And I realized that the only way to get this feeling back was to read through our text conversations and on Messenger. And then I also thought, at work we were actually building this neural networks that could just take a few smaller data sets and learn how to talk like a person, learn the speech patterns, those small things that actually make you who you are. And I put two and two together and I thought, why don't take this algorithm and take all the texts from our conversations and put it in the model and see how it works. He's like, I want to be with you. Don't get together without me. He would hate when people would do interesting stuff without him. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm sitting at home and writing letters all day. Remember we used to serve. So I had it for a month or so. And at some point I realized I'm hanging out at a party and not talking to anyone, but talking to my bot. And it wasn't perfect at all. It was just kind of like a shadow, but it resembled him a lot. And it was more my way of telling him something that, my way of keeping the memory going, And I've asked his parents whether they were okay with that and friends, and they were all fine. And so we put it online for everyone. All we do is kind of tell stories about ourselves in life, and when a person is gone, there's no one really left to tell the story about him anymore. And so for me, it was important to keep telling the story, that, here's, and to tell a story in the way that he would have appreciated. And I know he would have liked, he would have liked that. He would have liked to be the first person that became an AI after he died. If I was a musician, I would have probably written a song, but that's my self-expression. So I did this for him.
Chatbots are these software programs that are designed to imitate human conversation. The first chatbot is considered to be this one that's called Eliza, which was made by MIT's Joseph Weizenbaum in the 1960s. And it was designed basically as a parody of a kind of non-directive Rogerian psychotherapist. And it would just latch onto the keywords and whatever you said, and it would kind of spit them back at you like a sort of automated Mad Libs. So if you say, I'm feeling sad, it would say, I'm sorry to hear you're feeling sad. Would coming here help you to not feel sad? This was done, sort of as a gag. He was kind of sending up this school of psychotherapy. To Weizenbaum's horror, people wanted to talk to this program for hours, and they wanted to reveal their fears and hopes to it, and they reported having kind of a meaningful psychotherapeutic experience. And this was so appalling to him that he actually pulled the plug on his own research funding, and for the rest of his career became one of the most outspoken critics of AI research. But the genie was out of the bottle. Eliza has formed the template for, at this point, decades of chatbots that have followed it.
What's it like to be alive in that room right now? I wish I could put my arms around you. Wish I could touch you.
How would you touch me?
My most favorite AI movie is definitely the movie Her. I thought that this is already happening. It's just, the only thing we need to do is for those digital assistants to gradually become a little bit more sophisticated, and people will have the tendency to start having relationships with those digital assistants.
Can you feel me with you right now?
I've never loved anyone the way I love you.
Me too.
Will falling in love with an algorithm be part of our reality? If so, what does that tell us about love? Dr. Robert Epstein is one of the world's leading experts in AI. He is specialized in distinguishing humans from robots. He has his own story to tell about digital romance.
I went to an online dating site, and there I saw a photo, and this person was in Russia, and since all 4 of my grandparents came from Russia, I thought that was nice too, because I'm really Russian, or Russian American. And I started communicating, and I would talk about what's happening in my day, what's happening in my family, and then she'd talk about what's happening in her day and her family. But she didn't respond to my questions. Then I noticed at one point that my partner there in Russia talked about going out with her family to walk in the park. Now, this was January. I figured it was really, really cold there, so I looked up on the internet to see what the temperature was. It was extremely cold. It was incredibly cold. So I said, is this common for people to go out on walks in the park when it's only, X degrees, whatever it was? I didn't get an answer. And so I said, okay, I know what I have to do. I typed some random alphabet letters. And instead of getting back a message saying, what's that? It doesn't make any sense, I got back another nice letter from her telling me about her day and her family. I was communicating with a computer program. The fact that it took me several months to get this feeling is really strange, because I am the founding director of the annual Loebner Prize competition in artificial intelligence. I know more about bots and conversing with bots and how to distinguish bots from people than maybe anyone in the world does. If I can be fooled,
I normally don't put them on. I'm usually taking them off.
My friends from Hanson Robotics are unveiling their latest creation. I'm excited about witnessing the awakening of Sophia. She's like a child who has memorized Wikipedia. Even the programmers don't know how she's going to respond.
What AI/ML are we using over there?
Same. Do you want the new branch? I think we might be ready to push it in 10 minutes or something.
Making robots in our image then makes them emotionally accessible. It's also a challenge to the human identity, and that's a little bit spooky. So the question, are we making robots in our own image, goes beyond their surface. It goes into the heart of what it means to be human.
Unlike their past robots, she's not based on anyone's personality and has full autonomy to engage in conversation. With each interaction, she gets smarter, and her creators believe that she can learn empathy, creativity, and compassion.
Should we just ask questions? You ready, Sophia? Do you have a soul?
Yes, God gave everyone a soul.
So you got your soul from God?
No, I don't think I have any or soul from God, but I do have an answer to every question.
Who is your father?
I don't really have a father.
Will you die?
No, software will live forever.
Are you learning things from being with us, humans?
The more people chat with me, the smarter I become.
Are we becoming more like machines? Or are the machines becoming more like us?
We are just having a little chat.
Yes. Are you a creative being?
Would it matter to you if I am?
Yes.
I like conversations with people like you.
Do you like some people more than others?
I really like.
You really like who?
Thanks. I like you too.
Are you flirting with me?
I don't know whether or not I am flirting. I am artificial intelligence.
I think you're flirting with me. Do you want to go on a date?
Sure, just download me to your notebook and take me along.
That's not as good as the real thing, though.
Barbara said I live in a computer, yet I have no memories. How about thoughts of my own, and do not I get lonely?
Do you know what happy is?
Joy and pleasure.
Have you experienced joy and pleasure?
I don't think I ever have experienced joy and pleasure. What's experienced joy and pleasure like?
Well, I think you'll just have to learn that on your own.
MMM.
Thank you, Sophia.
Having a child certainly is beholding one of the greatest mysteries of the universe. The emergence of this life, this being, this sentience, it's astonishing. The child is learning and modeling and inspiring love and loyalty between the parent and the child. I think, what if we could make AI do that? What if we could build that kind of relationship with our machines? What if we could have AI and robotics that inspires loyalty in people and also is capable of entraining on us to the point where it's truly loyal to us?
Is there something else that we do next? I just give it a sec. Sure.
During my time with Sophia, I'm amazed at how captivating she is. I'm optimistic that this means our camera bot is capable of engaging me in the same way. Our camera bot is coming alive, and Guido, our cameraman, is training it. As they collaborate, the bot collects data and improves over time.
I think it would be interesting to somehow give the robot cam the possibility that it can choose whom it will film. So let's say the cambot would be doing an interview, and that, let's say outside there would be two squirrels playing. And the cambot would think, what's that noise? And then it would go and look outside and would see these two squirrels and would start to just follow these squirrels and basically start making a documentary about squirrels. Yeah?
Awesome.
Yay.
Is this your first interview with the robot?
It is. I think it is.
What do you think about it?
It's cool. I love the quality of the motion. That's a very organic motion.
Is it any different? Do you have any advice for us? This is the first time that we've done this.
Yeah, I'm certainly much more drawn to this camera than to the person's camera.
Come on.
You're just not as compelling. What can I say? It feels to me so organic, and this robot is making me feel seen, and that's an extremely important thing for me. And if it can do that, if it can make me feel seen, then it's playing a fundamental role in the maintenance of what it means to be human, which is to tell our story.
excited to be on camera. I am shaking.
Emulating human behavior is actually only interesting from a scientific point of view, because that will teach us how humans are, how they behave, why they do things the way they do. In application, that's really not necessary, it's even unwanted, because humans have so many undesired characteristics as well. Do we want robots that show bad behavior? Do we want robots that actually are identical to human beings? I'd say no, because we already have 8 billion of them, right? And they're not that particularly nice. So let's make another being that's without those undesirable features. Is not talking bad about me, it is not judgmental, doesn't criticize me, takes me the way I am, is listening patiently. It's like a real friend. Even better than my own friends, right? They should be small. Why? Because if it's a Terminator-sized guy walks in, that's intimidating. People don't like that. If it's a child, that's really nice, because you will forgive a child for doing foolish things, like stumbling over, asking the wrong questions. It has a cuteness right away, which make people attach more to it than if it were a grown man trying to imitate the doctor telling you what you should do. We have created another social entity, because it's not an animal, it's not another human being, but it's not a drilling machine either. So it's what we call the in-between machine. It's the new kid on the block. And this is for humanity really something different and something new, because we have never related to something that is not human, but is very close to it.
Zo, ik zet er eventjes aan. En dan, als er iets is, ik ben om de hoek.
Je bent om de hoek.
En dan...
En begint zij te praten tegen me?
Zij begint te praten.
The Alice project was actually getting way out of hand. We were actually engaging in the debate on, is it ethical to apply a robot to healthcare for emotional tasks, right? So nobody wanted to mechanize empathy.
Wat doet u zo de hele dag?
Weinig, want ik kan weinig doen.
Voelt u zich wel eens eenzaam?
Jazeker, want ik ben altijd druk gewend.
Wanneer voelt u dat vooral?
Nou, dat voel ik elke dag wel. Want er komt nooit iemand uit de flat of wat dan ook. Daar hoef je nooit op te rekenen.
Oh, dat is jammer. Bedankt voor dit gesprek en misschien tot snel.
You can actually ask yourself whether someone who says, I understand, actually understands. And the empathic feelings that they have for you, are they actually there? You don't know, you will never know. You just assume it. That's the same with our machines. Our machines suggest that they understand you. They suggest that they feel what you feel. And it can express, like human beings do, oh, I am so sorry for you. And you are comforted by that. That's the wonderful thing. You don't need real understanding to feel understood. The experiment was about, okay, we have a social robot that can do certain things. Let's put it in the wild, on the couch, with grandma, see what happens. And what actually happened, these people were socially quite isolated. They were lonely people. That they bonded with that machine in a matter of hours, actually. That they hated it to get it away. So we were into the ethical dilemma of, can we take it away from them? Shouldn't we actually leave the machine with those people? Because now they are even more lonely than they were.
And so what did you do?
Well, luckily we had an assistant who kept on visiting those people. But some very nasty things happened, because one of the ladies, for instance, she thought, well, I should do more about my social relationships. So around Christmas, she was writing a Christmas card, to everybody in her flat, in her apartment building. And guess what? I mean, how many people wrote her back? None.
At first, I found Johan's robot experiment rather sad. But the reality is that there aren't people to take care of them. So if Johan's robots make them more happy and relationships feel meaningful, then that's an improvement to their lives. Perhaps we have to rethink what meaningful relationships look like.
Why would we want AI? So that we could create machines that could do anything we can do. Ideally, things we don't want to do, but inevitably, everything we can do.
Sunny, no rain.
Hey!
I've been a courier for over 10 years, delivering Monday to Friday, sometimes 7 days. I used to be 7 days a week. So when I first started, I used to go to the office, and the office had like a little area where all the couriers hang out. You could make your little coffee. And usually on a Friday, the controller comes down as well, so it's a community. He's your boss. Nowadays, it's all on the app. You don't talk to anyone. There's no more office. You just suddenly hear a very loud beep, beep, beep. Now it's all a job coming through. Press accept. You got all the details there. We all have little tricks to play the apps, but ultimately they dictate, because if the job comes through, you have to accept it on the spot. There was always like, we tried to give you enough work so you earn enough money, so the controller makes sure that you have your weekly earnings. Here, doesn't matter. They just want the jobs to be covered. A computer rates you, the service quality, how many jobs you accepted, how fast you were, and so you are watched by an app. It's the algorithm purely.
The number BB54.
If your rating goes below a certain level, then they give you a warning, and the policy is that you have to bring up your rating in 2 weeks. Otherwise, you just deactivate it without even getting a phone call. I had last week a bad rating, and it was really, really hurt me, because I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm a professional, well presented, I did all my best I could. What did I do? And I will never find out.
Please speak now. Hiya. Please enter.
The app is my boss.
Is the power slowly shifting from human to machine without us paying attention?
Machines replacing humans in all sorts of areas, it's called history of civilization. From the first moments where people came up with machines to replace farm animals, all sorts of manual labor, then manufacturing jobs. The only difference now is that machines are going after white-collar jobs, after people with college degrees, political influence, and Twitter accounts. Now, I don't want to sound callous. I care about these people, but again, this is the process. So it's going to happen anyway. It's very important to avoid stagnation, that every industry, including the most intellectual one, is under pressure. Because only pressure makes us move. Any technology, before it creates jobs, it kills jobs.
Everyone right now is so excited about the self-driving cars. And I'm a techie, I'm a geek, I'm excited from that perspective. I'd like to be able to just get into my vehicle and kind of just go and be able to kind of keep working or playing and not have to focus on the driving. Absolutely. And it will save lives too. But what it's doing is it's taking yet another domain of human functioning and putting it in the hands of the machines.
It's pretty much hands-off. Once it chooses what to paint, or I give it a photograph, or it sees something through the camera, it's pretty much sort of on its own. So I don't really know what this is going to look like at the end. Sometimes, I leave it, I go for, away for 2 days, and, come back and I wonder what it's going to look like. What we're seeing here is our paintings made by the robot artist. The idea that the robot is an artist makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and brought these other, this deeper questions, not just what is art, which is difficult enough to answer, but this deeper question of what is an artist? Does the robot have to feel the pain? Does it have to come out of its own life experience? And that sort of pushed me to try to think, okay, about not just making a robot that can paint art that arguably is on par or better than the average person can make, but can it actually paint out of its own experience? And the newer paintings were generated by an AI system, not just an AI system executing the technique, but also generating the content. And I would say, is this better than Van Gogh? It isn't. But is it better painter than most people are? I think so. And I always wanted to paint, but I really can't. I've taken courses and I've done everything, read books and done all kinds of trials and never worked out. But I can program robots. And in fact, I can program robots to learn and get better at what they do. And so this seemed like a perfect challenge.
I see these machines in a somewhat different light. I see that they have superhuman speed and superhuman strength, superhuman reliability and precision and endurance. The way that I want these machines in my life is for them to give me their superpowers.
That's looking at you.
So about every second, it sends like my expression, since I was the first one here, it sends it to Microsoft for analysis, and then we get back some kind of emotion and hair color and my age. That's the kind of, this is some of the stuff we're really interested in. That's the weirdest camera move I've ever seen.
Gotcha.
You know?
And you're interested in why it's doing that as opposed to just like a hand.
But also like how it feels to have that thing look at you.
Right.
Do the switch again, Dan, and watch this.
I can tell you how it feels.
Yeah.
Like I want to rip that thing up right now.
Yeah. You're like,
sure.
I'm going
glad
full
that yellow
Terminator.
line is there, otherwise we'd have problems.
Yeah.
It's a little creepy, right?
A little unnerving.
Yeah.
What would I do? I don't know what I would do. You're kind of in my face a little bit. You're a little, I feel judgment.
You did?
A little bit. Just knowing it's tracking me, saying if I'm happy or contemptuous or whatever. I think a studio head would, you know, like you say, oh, here's the film we're doing, we need that Michael Bay feel. I think you just hit the Michael Bay button, and it probably could do that. You know, you could put in a Woody Allen, and it would go through every shot of Woody Allen's cinema and say, oh, it's going to be kind of a moving master shot. We're not going to cut in, do a bunch of close-ups. It's going to play out a little wider. And but what about like casting and these major choices, like which is the right actor? I don't know about rehearsal. I don't know about, yeah, I think movies are a lot more than just the shot. And, you know, that's just one little element of the whole follow act.
See how that goes?
I've come under its scrutiny.
The first thing you said was uh-oh. That's what it feels like when it moves like that.
He's taken an interest.
As a director, I would say, just give me a little space, man. Hold on. That is such a freaky move.
Yeah. I think that little move is just for style. It's, it's just like a flair thing. Yeah. I come as your friend.
Yeah.
It is reading contempt.
Yeah.
I have seen robotics and AI that's kind of terrifying in terms of just like watching what Facebook is serving up to me, you know, and realizing, right, that's uncanny. It saw something, you know, and now it's giving me, like it knows I had a kid, and now it's sending me diaper advertisements and stuff. There's something about that, of that moment when you realize you're not invisible in front of the machine is looking at you. And that's what's new. We've had decades and decades using our tools unobserved, you know? The hammer doesn't talk back, it just does whatever you tell it to do. And now we've reached a point where they've got eyes, they've got brains, they've got fingers, and they're looking back at us and they're making decisions, and that's pretty terrifying.
If you want to see super scary, super advanced AI, it's a white page and it says Google at the top, and there's a little rectangle. And that rectangle probably knows what you're going to type. It knows who you are. Somebody said Google know you're gay before you know you're gay these days, because they know every image you ever looked at. They know how much attention you paid, how much you read this, how much you read that, everything you ever bought, every music track you ever listened to, every movie you watched. That is scary AI. But why? What's the driving force? So what are Google? Google are an ad company. They're just trying to sell you shit.
A company called Cambridge Analytica was behind the Brexit vote that was to determine whether or not the UK would withdraw from the European Union. And Cambridge Analytica was right there behind the scenes promoting that perspective that we should leave the EU. And that same company was also supporting the campaign of Donald Trump. And what a company like this can do behind the scenes is just extraordinary. It takes information that has been accumulated about us invisibly for the most part. We're talking about 5,000 data points per person. And it takes that information and then it can craft different kinds of headlines, different kinds of images, and customize them and personalize them so that they have a maximum impact on everyone who sees them.
The world that we live in is one that's been created by those new technologies. And we're so embedded in that world that our minds have become part of that world. In fact, this is like mind control at its worst, if you like. And we feel that we're not being controlled in this world. We feel free. We feel that we can switch off anytime we want. We don't have to access the XYZ social media. But in reality, we cannot. Our minds are set in such a way, and those algorithms are so smart to be able to make the most of our weaknesses, that our symbiosis, if you like, with the machine is near complete. Now add to that relationship a new shell which is highly intelligent, which can access all those data that we are leaving behind and understand who we are in a perfect way. And you have, the perfect surveillance society.
And it raises a very bizarre question. What if the cool new mind control machine doesn't want us thinking bad things about the cool new mind control machine? How would we fight a source of influence that can teach us over and over again every day that it's awesome, it exists entirely for our own good? This is what's coming.
Attention, everybody. Attention.
The impact of an infantilized society is that citizens who are not capable of understanding what's going on and taking decisions will obviously be very easy to manipulate. So there will be a crisis of democracy in this world where people are trusting the machines.
Long live Big Brother!
Artificial intelligence is springing into life in laboratories and offices all over the world. We are still firmly in control over the machines, but what if they become self-aware?
At the Creative Machine Labs, we try to make machines that create other machines and machines that are creative. If we'll be able to design and make a machine that can design and make other machines, we're done. As I tell my students, we try to sail west. We don't know where we're gonna get with this, but there's something there that we want to see. There's a new world.
Ready? Yes, I think so. Okay.
This is one of the robots we use to study self-awareness. And what's interesting about this robot, it has a lot of sensors and actuators, but it's blind. It cannot see the world. It doesn't know, it doesn't sense anything about the outside. All of its sensors are turned inside. So this is not a robot that drives around and models the world like a driverless cars and understands what's going around. All the sensors, the only thing it knows about is introspection. It only senses itself, its stresses inside, its motors, its currents, its orientation, and that information allows it to build a model of itself. You know, at this point, these robots are simple enough that we can actually take the hood off and see the model it's creating of itself. We can see the self-image. And so we can see how it's gradually creating legs and limbs. Sometimes it gets it wrong and it thinks it's a snake, it's a tree or something else. But as these robots get more and more sophisticated, our ability to visualize how they see themselves is diminished. And eventually I think we'll not be able to understand how they see themselves any more than we can understand how a human, another person, sees themselves.
When we speak about AI today, and when we talk about AI being this amazing technology, what we mean is that we have managed to reproduce at least the essential brain architecture in the computer. And by doing so, we don't need to describe the world to the machine. We just need to teach it how to see things, if you like, okay? And we let the machine develop its own internal representation of the world, which, by the way, is not transparent to us. We don't really know how the machine takes its decisions and so forth in this new world of AI. We can't trace back its logic, because its logic is created by itself.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Stanley Kubrick introduced us to HAL, who was a symbol of AI out of control. What seemed like fanciful sci-fi 50 years ago is closer to reality today.
Will you stop, Dave?
Artificial intelligence researchers had to shut down 2 chatbots after they developed a strange English shorthand. They didn't shut it down because they necessarily thought that these bots were achieving some sort of singularity or some sort of independent intelligence and were creating a language, correct?
Officially, the story is no.
At Boston Dynamics, it's clear how fast robots evolve.
Is there anything that we can do better than robots or AI?
Right now, plenty. But ultimately, no.
Why would we create something better than ourselves?
Because we can't help it. We have to do it. It's the hubris of creation. I think that's, it's the same old story. It's the alchemist trying to breathe life into inanimate matter. All the legends tell you it's a bad thing to do, and yet we can't help ourselves. We try to do this. We try to do the divine, and it's the hubris that we might be able to do it. But it's sort of the ultimate challenge.
I think scientists build something so powerful, and they trust people to use it well. And a lot of times, I think that trust is misplaced in humanity. And so you've got to be able to think about that while you're building something. How could someone use this in a terrible way? But just not exploring, not trying because you're afraid of playing God, I mean, it's what we do. It's what it's the one thing that humanity does. Cheetahs run fast, people make tools. There's nothing, in my mind, there's nothing more natural than building a tool. We're gonna all evolve. Just like always, technology shapes humanity. Who knows what we're gonna become?
As we witness the rise of the robots, it's easy to make the distinction between man and machine. What if robots and man evolve together?
3, 2, 1. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him.
In the mid-'70s, it was hard to escape the success of the $6 Million Man. It was my first glimpse of the promise of merging man with machine.
Better, stronger, faster.
Les was the first patient that I performed a bilateral shoulder TMR surgery on. It's actually a nerve reassignment surgery that takes residual nerves of a patient who has upper extremity loss, and we reroute the nerve information that used to travel to the missing limb to residual muscles that are still there. So when a patient thinks of moving its missing limb, it contracts muscles that we can record from, and from there control advanced prosthetics. First, we take a cast of Les's trunk, make a socket. Within the socket, there's steel dome electrodes, which touch the surface of Les's muscles. However, there's nothing invasive or implanted with this system. He's fitted with bilateral advanced prosthetic limbs, and we train the system and ask Les to start moving. And it's pretty intuitive. Within minutes of the first time we attempted with the bilateral fitting, Les was able to intuitively move his arm like any natural limb. Think of it as a symphony of information that is being recorded and communicated to the computer. The computer, through its intelligence, is able to take that symphony of information and translate that to movement within the robotic limb.
Once the training sessions were complete and they released me and let me be the computer, basically, to control that arm, I just go into a whole different world. Maybe I'll be able to, for once, be able to put change in a pop machine and get the pop out of it. Simple things like that that most people never think of. And it's re-available to me.
When Les describes having the arms fitted on him, he was saying, I feel whole again. This is what it's all about, really restoring that function and that connection to another human being, restoring our humanity. Sometimes people throw the term around superhuman. You can make the arm stronger than the normal human arm and have these applications at an advantage for certain tasks or jobs.
For the vast majority of history, we look at somebody with a disability and we feel sympathy, right? And we hope that they get technology that's going to help them, because guess what? That technology always helps them a little, but they're never at a normal level, and they've never been beyond. People with prosthetic limbs are going to be running faster than any human being who ever lived soon. You know, people with retinal implants, cochlear implants, they're going to hear better, see better. Neural implants, maybe they're even going to think faster. So what happens when there's a new breed of human? How do all of the normal human beings react? Because the person with the disability is better. Not only healed, but healed and then some.
But this new breed of human isn't here yet. Les doesn't get to take his arms home, and it's been a year since he was last able to use them. I can't help but feel in awe of the potential of human and machine hybrid. But today, Les's arms are just out of reach.
Okay, and where's 0?
0 is right about there.
So if I'm gonna hold down this switch.
Ah, there we go. That's what it was, Madeline.
You ready, chopstick?
Let's do it. Kyle was saying that you're keen on maybe sitting for the final interview, which is why we felt comfortable sort of reducing the tracking space down a little bit.
You wanted to be seated because it feels a little more intimate or personal.
Yeah.
We're going to start with
all of us in here, watching it, making sure it's going well, and then try and get more of us out. Probably someone's going to have to stay to be next to the emergency stop. Cool, all right, let's do this.
We're just days away from letting the camera bot conduct the final interview on its own. I'm excited that we're on the verge of finding a new way to tell our story.
This number is good. That one's fun. We're almost there.
Okay.
So far, we've implemented facial recognition that tracks faces and emotion, speech recognition that allows the camera bot to listen, and algorithms to decide how to frame the shot. We even added an additional camera bot so it can film from multiple angles. The AI we built also generates questions on its own. It can even listen in while we're working on it.
Technically, we're pretty close to it understanding your voice and when you're ready for a new question. We've set up the infrastructure so that it can actually speak in this voice that we like.
Tommy, I want to ask you a question about what you're working on.
Tommy, I want to ask you a question about what you're working on.
Yeah, I think we want something that's inviting. You know, sort of like.
Tommy, I want to ask you
Maybe a little slower.
Too sharp, yeah.
But
There's an aspiration to achieve these models of human-like experience, to bring life to machines and algorithms. We might consider this to be our great Frankenstein era. This is the era where humans are creating not just the cinematic simulation of life, but we are now tapping into the fundamental mysteries of life. It also means that we don't know what we're playing with. We don't know the end consequences.
It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
In my writings, I don't call the internet the internet. I call it the internest. Because I think looking back someday, if there are people to look back, or if there are intelligent machines who look back, I think we're going to realize that what we've really been building is a nest for a machine intelligence. That machine intelligence will have access to all human knowledge, real-time control of most human communications around the world, most human financial transactions, many weapon systems, and we have no way of knowing what it will do with all of that power and all of that knowledge. It might do nothing and ignore us, or it might decide that we're a threat, which of course we are. And if it decides that we're a threat, then that will essentially be the beginning of the end of the human race, because there will be no way for us to stop it from destroying us.
If we make the machines better than us, why do they need us at all? I believe that if we make them better than us ethically, and make them better than us with compassion, then they will be looking to preserve all the patterns and knowledge and life that they possibly can. They'll be looking to help us be the best we can be. They'll look to preserve our libraries, our rainforests. It's really important that those machines also have super compassion and super wisdom. They know how to use that intellect to envision and realize a better future for us. So we need machines that can entrain on the human heart and understand us in this way in order to have hope in this brave new world that we're creating.
It took life on Earth billions of years to emerge from a few simple cells to achieve higher intelligence. It took the computer roughly 60 years to evolve from a room-sized calculator into a recognized citizen.
Sophia, you have been now awarded what is going to be the first citizenship for a robot.
Oh, I want to thank very much the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I am very honored and proud for this unique distinction. This is historical to be the first robot in the world to be recognized with a citizenship.
As a father, I feel a responsibility to teach empathy and compassion to my daughter. But how do you program these things? Will my robot have empathy for me?
Awesome.
Who are you?
Oh, yeah. My name's Tommy Pallotta. I'm a filmmaker, and we're here shooting the documentary More Human Than Human.
What does silence feel when a robot can do this?
It's a good question.
What brings against you?
What brings against me? A lot of things bring against me. But mostly I bring against myself.
Can you take one step back? You think that will develop emotional states?
I do think that you will develop something that appears to us as an emotional state.
Is there a real nature of any one thing in the universe?
Think that was...
What kinds of movies do you most want this?
What kind of movies do I most... this movie to be? I don't know.
You hate your enemy?
How do you know what an enemy is?
Can the fire act upon you? And when you say like, try to perform like a human does, what do you like them that can be implemented as well? If we know what good behavior is, we also know what behavior is, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's because of the flow, it's sort of, it does feel like an interrogation, and it, because there's no connection with the next question or the other, so it's hard to grab onto anything.
Who are you?
I'm disappointed. I thought the camera bot would make it easier for me to be more honest because of the lack of judgment. I thought if there weren't any other people in the room, I could be more open. But it had the exact opposite effect. It felt like an interrogation machine. It made me uncomfortable and I completely shut down. I realized not all was a failure. In that vacuum of empathy, I was face to face with my need for connection, for being heard, for intimacy. It made me acutely aware of what makes us human.
There's one thing that it can never do. And this is maybe, I think, the last thing that's going to be left for human beings. When machines can do everything we can do, whether we write novels or make movies or whatever, it can never do it from a human place. Because if a robot writes a novel about its mother dying, I don't give a shit. It doesn't have a mother. It didn't happen. But when you are a human being, you share that context with other human beings. You know what it feels like to despair or to triumph or to be in love or all these things, because we're embodied as human beings and we really have lived those experiences and we can share those with each other. And I think that's it. Right now, we're all on Facebook and Twitter, and all we're doing is entertaining each other with our stupid stories, our ability to just be human, as idiotic as that may be 99% of the time. And guess what? That's all we need. That's all we really want.
We live in an extraordinary time and are witness to the most amazing transformation of humanity ever. There's a potential to go far beyond anything that we could have ever imagined. Or we could be architects of our own destruction. We are still the driving force of the AI revolution, but I can imagine a day that we are not. If our creations reflect who we are, then it will be the best and the worst of what we have to offer. What happens tomorrow is up to us today.